today on the 1UpBeat. We continue our Super Mario 40th Anniversary retrospective journey by blasting into the 21st century. We're being aided by the soundtrack to Mario Kart World again, with its arrangements from every major Mario game. Be prepared for Koji Kondo and many others as the slate of composers for the Mario series expands even further than it did in the 20th century. Let's get right into it with the first game of the 21st century.
And streaming on the web since 1996. This is the Cinematic Sound Radio Network.
Right back into the music, yes. But first, before we get back into the Mario series proper, we have to give poor Luigi his due. He hasn't gotten a mention yet, but he carried the GameCube's entire launch lineup in 2001 by himself. For the first time since the Japanese launch of the Famicom in 1983, a Nintendo console wouldn't launch with a new Mario platformer game. Instead, we got Luigi's Mansion. While not really a Super Mario game, it was the launch title for the GameCube. Luigi's Mansion saw Luigi take the starring role after suspiciously winning a mansion in a contest he never entered. He agreed to meet Mario there to check it out and couldn't find him anywhere. Luigi has to explore the mansion and, with the help of the Poltergust 3000, sucks up scary ghosts to try to save his brother. Kazumi Totaka is back again, as is Totaka's theme, and he teams up with Shinobu Tanaka to bring us a wonderful soundtrack that's right up their alley. The game would spawn a super successful franchise with two more games, one on the Nintendo 3DS and one on the Nintendo Switch. The first Luigi's Mansion definitely has its own style, and you'll hear that now in the music. Thanks to Luigi holding down the fort for the GameCube launch, Mario had a little extra time to return after no main series Mario game since Super Mario 64 in 1996. It would take 6 years later that Mario's next platforming adventure would release in 2002 with Super Mario Sunshine. It's kind of become the redheaded stepchild of the 3D Mario series, but it's fantastic all the same. Since Koji Kondo had his last solo composing gig on a Mario game with 64 6 years prior, for Sunshine he brings along Shinobu Nagata, who's the same as Shinobu Tanaka from Luigi's Mansion, only married this time. The two of them worked on an incredible island-inspired score, though Kondo thinks it was more European-inspired since everyone told him the main area had a more European look rather than Latin American or Pacific like he thought. There was also the desire to use more of a guitar sound, since he was able to get that sounding really good on GameCube hardware this time. Here's the Mario Kart World take on Super Mario Sunshine. It would be another 4 years after Super Mario Sunshine before we would get another main series entry for Super Mario. This time it would come in the form of a new Super Mario Bros. Game called, wait for it, New Super Mario Bros. Not only did New Super Mario Bros. Come out 4 years after Mario Sunshine, but it was the first new 2D Mario game that's not Yoshi since 1992, 14 years. New Super Mario Bros. Promises a very safe return to form. Just about everyone played the game because it came during a time when people were hungry for 2D platformers again. Ever since the release of the Nintendo 64, there had been so many 3D games because they were the hot new thing. 2D sort of got neglected. Obviously, we don't have that problem today, as things are pretty balanced, since instead of treating 3D as new and good and 2D as old and bad, there's an understanding that both have their good points. During a Mario 25th anniversary interview, Koji Kondo, who was now sound director on the game, mentions how the main theme was meant to be written by someone else, but he thought it didn't sound Mario enough, so he got involved and redid it himself. The overworld athletic theme, which uses the same melody, and the versus music, which also uses the melody, were Kondo, and the rest of the soundtrack was done by Asuka Hayazaki and Hajime Wakai. The music is noteworthy for the famous ba in the music. They have in-game effects too. Every time the music goes ba, the enemies stop in place for a second and do a little dance before continuing on. Many a player not familiar with this thought they were going to stomp the Goomba like they'd done a million times before in previous Mario games, but didn't know the rhythm changed up like that and missed the first jump. Amateur mistake. Here's the overworld and castle themes as heard in Mario Kart World. 2007 saw an important turning point for Mario music that would resonate into the future with the release of the Nintendo Wii's Super Mario Galaxy. Galaxy was the first Mario credit for composer Mahito Yokota, who originally worked at Koei and worked with Nintendo as early as 2004. He was the lead composer on Galaxy, with Koji Kondo contributing 2 tracks, those being the first level and the hub world music. The big thing Mario Galaxy is known for is for being the first mainline Mario game to use a live orchestra. Composer Yokota said he would constantly bring up the idea of being able to use an orchestra for the soundtrack until Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto finally was worn down and said yes. Yokota wrote the entire game's score outside of the Kondo tracks and arranged 28 tracks for a 50-piece orchestra. This was a huge change, since even Yokota saw the, quote, essence of Mario, as Kondo called it, as the Latin percussive sound that was already familiar. Yokota remembers a piece of advice he received from Kondo at one point, being told, "Yokota-san, if somewhere in your mind you have an image that Mario is cute, please get rid of it." Quote, "When I heard that, I realized that I had always had this image that Mario was a character for kids, and without realizing it, I had been composing cute music that I thought would appeal to children. I asked Kondo-san at the time, then what kind of music would work with Mario? He replied that Mario is cool." What Yokota produced from here changed the scope of Mario music forever. A sweeping, epic orchestral score with space elements, and it became not just one of the best Mario soundtracks of all time, but one of the best gaming soundtracks of all time. We'll play the 2 tracks from Mario Kart World that are the Kondo tracks, and then the other 2 will be from Yokota's work. What's interesting is that it's not even like soundtracks where they have a more famous composer do 1 or 2 tracks, and they're significantly better than the rest of the soundtrack. Yokota is right up there in how good his music is as Kondo. Here's Mario Kart World's take on the great Super Mario Galaxy. After the smash hit that was New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, the Wii had to get in on the fun too, and got its own New Super Mario Bros. Game, coincidentally called New Super Mario Bros. Wii. For regular players, the big change here is the addition of 4-player multiplayer. For us music lovers, there's not much new here. The composers on the game are Kenta Nagata, Shiho Fuji, and Ryo Nagamatsu. Most of the music is rearrangements of old music, either from the New Super Mario Bros. On the DS or other Mario games. With the Koopa Kids here, we get some remixes of their music as well. Nintendo was really cranking out the Mario platformers during this time period. With the popularity of the Wii and the DS, why not capitalize on that and give the people what they want? They certainly did in 2010 when they released the first direct sequel to a 3D Mario game in Super Mario Galaxy 2. The brilliance of Super Mario Galaxy 2 in general is as the same team, same group, same gameplay, same look, same level of creativity, and everything as the first game. While people were a little underwhelmed with the New Super Mario Bros. Games and their very safe and unoffensive style, and New Super Mario Bros. Wii was just one more of the same, that was a little underwhelming. More of the same with Super Mario Galaxy 2 is really exciting. At first, it was supposed to be just more of the same, a sort of Super Mario Galaxy 1.5, and would reuse music from the first game as downloadable content of sorts. But eventually, it turned into its own game with new music, blue skies, and Yoshi. Musically, Yoshi does what he's done in the past, add a little percussion line under the whatever music is currently playing. Yokota is back again with Kondo, and this time they have Ryo Nagamatsu with them for tons of new music. The orchestra has been expanded from 50 players to 60 players, and there were some big band tunes added in this time for the live recordings, so it wasn't just orchestral music. That accounted for 10 players, so 70 total live musicians. After getting approval to use the orchestra in the first Galaxy game, Yokota was worried that when asking Miyamoto to record more music for the new game, he'd just tell them to use the music from the first game, and spent 2 days preparing a presentation only for Miyamoto to immediately agree to the live recordings. The music is bigger and more varied than before, and naturally got quite a few tracks in Mario Kart World. Here are some of them. Finally breaking out of the new Super Mario Bros. To Mario Galaxy pattern, Nintendo attempted a sort of fusion of the two styles of Mario platformers. As highly acclaimed as the Galaxy games were, the new Super Mario Bros. Games were always leaps and bounds ahead in sales, and it was attributed to the idea that some players were able to grasp 2D gameplay better than 3D gameplay. To try and help with this, they created a sort of hybrid 2D, 3D style with elements of both, and Super Mario 3D Land was born. 3D Land was made for the new and at the time Nintendo 3DS, successor to the DS. The thought that was with glasses-free 3D, people would be able to understand a simplified 3D gameplay better with the added depth of the visuals. Music-wise, Yokota had to take more of a backseat here, as he was very busy working on the Legend of Zelda series at the time, so Takashi Hama and Asuka Hayazaki had to step up to the plate writing the music, harkening much more to the upbeat pop Latin-inspired music from the earlier Mario games. The thing about 3D Land that's really interesting is just how overshadowed it is by its sequel. 3D Land never got an official soundtrack release like its sequel did, and the follow-up just sort of replaced 3D Land in a way, even though it was one of the biggest and best games on the Nintendo 3DS. With that said, it's not like the music from Mario 3D Land is bad, far from it, and you'll hear that right now. What followed 3D Land was the final onslaught of the new Super Mario Bros. Series. They released 2 of them in the same year, the last 2 in the series, and while they're fine games on an objective level, people were just kind of sick of New Super Mario Bros. At the time. You had New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS, and 4 months after that, New Super Mario Bros. U for the Wii U as a launch title. 2 had almost no new music, maybe slight tweaks to the arrangements of old games for it to fit better on the 3DS, and then even U, Nintendo's big launch title for their new console in 2012, had very little new music besides this new main theme as heard in Mario Kart World. Remember that follow-up to Super Mario 3D Land that I mentioned earlier? In 2013, as the big holiday title for Nintendo's then struggling Wii U console, they pulled out all the stops with Super Mario 3D World, so instead of Land, you get a world now. Yokota is back as lead composer, for the final time in a Mario game before moving on to more supervisor roles. But what he does here, again, resonated with the series to this day. Leaving behind the sweeping orchestral music, Yokota and composers Toru Minagashi, Yasuaki Iwata, and 2 tracks by Kondi Kondo fully embrace the big band genre here. Live recordings are back again, and in addition to the fantastic new music by all composers, there are new live recordings of a couple tracks from 3D Land, such as the snow music. The game completely eclipses 3D Land. Most people don't even remember the game because 3D World had everything 3D Land did, but just better. Better musical compositions, better recordings, graphics, art style, level design, etc. Naturally, 3D World gets a lot of love in Mario Kart World because of the 3D World big band style that carried over into Mario Kart 8 the following year, and it also became the musical style for the Mario Kart series as well. Along with live recordings, and frankly, it led to Mario Kart World's arrangements being what they are and everything you've heard up to this point. The musical identity here started with 3D World, so let's take a little time and really dig into the new arrangements of 3D World that just totally fits into the style of that game and complements the driving action of Mario Kart World perfectly. After quickly falling behind in sales in the first few years, Nintendo was desperate for ways to show that the Wii U's unique gameplay controller would be good for their games. One of the best attempts they had, though it wouldn't save the Wii U from its doomed fate, was a game called Super Mario Maker. Maker lets you finally create your own Mario levels and share them with friends. There were different styles you can make your level look like, either Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Bros. U. The coolest part from a musical standpoint was new music was written in the style of each game for areas that weren't available in that particular game. There was a new Ghost House theme for Super Mario Bros. 1, or an airship theme for Super Mario World, level themes that didn't exist in either game, all new music written by Koji Kondo. This is in addition to a main theme that you'll hear in a moment. The game received a sequel on the Nintendo Switch, which isn't in Mario Kart World, but we'll play the main theme now to cover both games. After the failure of the Nintendo Wii U, the company wanted their follow-up console to really hit it big, so a brand new 3D Mario game was prioritized to be released leading up to the Switch's first holiday season. Super Mario Odyssey is, at this point in history, the last fully featured 3D Mario game. The game released in 2017 and sees Mario on an adventure to rescue Peach from being forced to marry Bowser. Mario gets to see all sorts of unique sights on his adventures that you typically don't see in Mario games. In addition to the usuals like deserts and water levels, Mario visits a prehistoric world and a modern realistic city. The goal of the score was to have a very diverse sound, orchestral here, big band there, bossa nova, festival music, etc. This will help emphasize that feeling that Mario is really on a big journey to unique places. The game's lead composer, Naoto Kubo, also wrote that much-beloved song Jump Up Superstar that is performed when you get to the city level for the first time. Besides Kubo, the game has music by Shiho Fuji, and still cranking out memorable music such as the fan-favorite Steam Gardens theme is Koji Kondo. You'll definitely hear the variety in music types here, via the fantastic arrangements from MK World. Fans of Super Mario 3D World got another shot at playing the game on Nintendo Switch when it was ported to the Switch in February of 2021. But they soon found out that's not all they were getting. Along with the beloved Wii U game, they got an all-new adventure called Bowser's Fury. Bowser's Fury is a sort of mashup between 3D World and Odyssey in style, a smaller game than the previous two, but packed with excitement from beginning to end. It takes place in one big open level, among a bunch of items and cat shines to collect. As a result, it has a very beach island sound to the game's music, which was composed by Daisuke Matsuoka. Matsuoka has done some music for the newer two Donkey Kong Country games, as well as some smaller 3DS games like Style Savvy and Art Academy, before doing most of, if not all, of the music for Bowser's Fury. The soundtrack is really fantastic, with memorable tunes, and of course we have to mention the titular Fury. Every once in a while exploring, you see the sky darken and wind start to blow, and Bowser emerges and wreaks havoc on the world while poor Mario has to take cover so he doesn't get absolutely burnt to a crisp. When you gain enough cat shines, Mario can grow giant-sized and take on Bowser with a quite unique sounding tune playing for a Mario game. We'll play the Lake Lapcat music, which will give you a good feel for the type of music typically in the game, and then the Fury Bowser attack music. And this arrangement, though for Mario Kart World, really isn't all that different at all from what plays in the game. I think you'll enjoy both quite a lot. This finally brings us to the end of our journey. The last new mainline Mario game is Super Mario Wonder. Even though Wonder came out 2 years before Mario Kart World, it's the one mainline game with no covers in the game. Don't worry though, we'll still play something fun from the game. Wonder is the first new 2D Mario game since New Super Mario Bros. U in 2012, unless you count the Mario Maker's game, which I guess you could. The dirty little secret that nobody likes to admit is that the game is basically just New Super Mario Bros. Touched up to be more interesting. The game introduces wonder effects, which change up gameplay and visuals partway through a level to make something crazy and creative happen. None of this is to say that it's a bad game at all, since the New Super Mario Bros. Games weren't bad games either, despite what people say. They just lacked style. This game has style, which makes it better by default. The game's music was composed by Shiho Fuji, Sayoko Doi, and Chisaki Shimazu, with Koichi Kondo as sound director. The specific tracks aren't credited, but we'll be just playing one today anyway, being the famous Piranha Plants on Parade track. This level's wonder effect does exactly what the title suggests. The level turns into a march led by the Piranha Plant enemies, along with a nice little march tune. Since we don't have a Mario Kart World cover, we'll be featuring a performance of the piece by the Video Game Music Ensemble at UCF, arranged by Evan Carville. It's a great arrangement and a really fun piece, hopefully somewhat in the spirit of what we tried to do here today. So we'll leave it at that, and I'll thank you for joining me during this long review of the Super Mario series. If there's ever anything else you want to hear or other series you want to explore, be sure to request it, and maybe we'll take a look at that next time. Until then, I'll thank you again for listening to the 1UpBeat. This has been Eric Silver. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Cinematic Sound Radio Podcast. I want to thank Tim Burton for providing his voice for all the bumpers you hear throughout the program, and to David Coscina for providing Cinematic Sound Radio's theme music. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at cinematicsound@yahoo.com. You can find us on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And wherever you're listening to us today, please take a moment right now to leave us a rating and a review of the podcast. You can get a Cinematic Sound Radio t-shirt at our TeePublic store. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/cinematicsoundradio. And don't forget to check us out on the web at cinematicsound.net.